welcome to Agents Influence Conversations with who? Me, Jason Cass, and today I got my boy Langille. That's what they all say out there. They're like, man, I know that dude makes great websites, and I know he does some badass marketing, but I just can't get his damn name filled out or figured out. I can't tell you how many times, but hey, you know what? It's kind of like when Janet Jackson showed her breast in the Super Bowl. Any kind of media is good media. That's right, because they know Chris. They may not pronounce his name, but they know that brother's here from AE. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So unfortunately, my son is also, my kids have also inherited the messed up last name. So we're now, my 9-year-old is now referred to as Linguini, which it's actually my fault. I brought it up to one of our other coaches, and they were like, that's actually a good nickname. So I've passed that curse down to my kids, unfortunately, but it is what it is, right?
You know, I had a problem when I first met you doing it, but after a while, you just kind of know. Don't make it any more than it is. It's Chris Langille.
Yep.
It's just that really.
I'll take
simple.
that. That's
Don't
close
make it
enough.
too tough.
That's close enough.
What is the heritage? What is that?
Yeah, it's French Canadian. So my grandparents were from Nova Scotia, Canada. And at the time, like, obviously, you come over here from another country and they're like, at least in my head, they're like, you get off the boat or the bus and they're like, your name Langille, like they just Americanize your name like right then and there. So I think at one point in time it had a very French like pronunciation. But now it's just, they turned it into the
Chris Langille.
That's the Italian version. But yeah, I'm Italian and French Canadian. It's a weird dynamic, man.
It is, man. I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that. Changes my whole perception. I mean, when you came from the northern, what'd you say, Nova Scotia?
Nova Scotia, yeah. It's like Southeast Canada. It's not that far from like New York.
Yeah, I know. I got it. I thought but I mean, it changed my perception of you. So I see you kind of more of as a nicer guy than you are being there in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. But man, you guys are tough on your athletes.
We are, man. Right now, we're going through it with Ben Simmons. I don't know if anybody here.
What is up with that?
He's like, he has all the talent in the world, but it's like in his head, and it's frustrating, man. Like in Philly, like we just want to love our athletes, and we give people tough love, and it's because we want to see them do good. And a lot of athletes can't handle that, right? Because they've been told their entire lives, like, you're great, you're the best. And then they get into a situation where they mess up and, they have to hear us. And yeah, it can be a debilitating thing, man, mentally.
Chris, this is amazing that we're having this conversation, actually. And the reason is because I thought of this weekend or whenever the Philadelphia, I can't remember who, he was a football player or something, and he was not criticizing Simmons, but he was talking about, like, hey, if you want to be loved, these are the kind of things. Who was that?
Jason Kelce. He's the center for the Eagles, yeah.
Okay. You know what I loved he said, and for all you loyal listeners, all you agency owners out there, all you pretty much producers, this is for you producers, is he said, if you want to be loved by the city of Philadelphia, just run hard to first base. Yep. That's what he said. And I thought to myself, wow, dude, how much could we learn from that as business owners and producers? When I see my producers, I don't necessarily care about all the production you have today, my dudes who are training. They're in the first 2 or 3 years. But I want to see that you're running hard to first base.
Yep.
Right? When I see that, that makes me know, okay, he's got it. And I loved when he said that, dude. That was so awesome.
Yeah, hustle takes no talent, right? I mean, you can't teach talent, but you can hustle. And so I think that was kind of like his deal.
Right.
Like, just play well, man, and we'll love you. But it's the truth.
Yeah, it is. I liked it a lot. I really, truly did. So, dude, the kids have been busy, right? Baseball. I mean, what are your boys doing right now?
Yeah, man. So baseball has pretty much dominated my life the last 2 to 3 years. My one son, Luke, they both play. Cole and Luke. Cole's older. He's like 12. Luke's 9. They both play here in our local Little League. And last year, for the first time in like 30 years, our 9U team went to the state tournament. And it was kind of like big news. Like, myself being one of the assistant coaches, and then like people, y'all would like go to Dunkin' Donuts to get coffee, and they're like, "Aren't you the coach of the 9U Aston Valley team?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like
That's cool.
it's kind
That's
of weird.
cool.
Like people like notice you in town, and I'm like, man, this is strange. But
Right.
because there's been such a long drought, people are just loving it and loving it. But yeah, dude, I love it and I hate it at the same time. Like I'm glad that I'm able to be active in my kids' life because I grew up with single parent household. My dad wasn't really present, nor was my mom because she was working a lot to kind of support the
Gotcha.
fam. But like it's cool that I'm able to kind of break that that mold or whatever. But it's work, man. It's like a full-time job. Like when I like people are like, Chris, can we jump on a call to talk about website or this or that? And I'm like, I got a hard stop at 3:00 because I got to start getting ready for practice. It's like, but yeah, it's
Right.
almost every day. And then there's summer league and then there's fall ball and then there's tournaments in between. And of course I missed your event, unfortunately, man, because my kid got an invite to a tournament that was like invite only, and not many kids get to go. And it was like,
Mhm.
I would never hear the end of it if I, bounced out on that. So,
You wouldn't have heard the end of it from me. I mean, come on, man. These things come along forever. We'll be doing conferences for a
yeah,
while,
that's what
you
I'm
know?
saying, man. Like, I'm like, dude, I'll catch him on the next one and then hop on the show and show my support that way. But yeah, it was like one of those things where you just, as a parent, you don't want to miss it. And,
No.
he's pretty good, man. Like not to toot, every parent thinks their kid's probably worse than they are or maybe better than they are, but I like to think I have a pretty good like, even keel about it. But 9 years old and he's every bit as good as some of the 12-year-old kids. So it's pretty cool to like watch, a kid like that I made that has
It
like some
is.
talent because I never thought I could create such a beast. But so
Right. Yeah. And that's great. Yeah, that's great. And he makes you wonder when you start to realize that about your son and how he has talent and stuff like that, and the way you start to see him, it starts to make you start to realize maybe how your parents saw you,
hmm
right? And that's what's always a cool thing. And then for us that are graced, that are blessed enough to have parents who are still alive as we're becoming more successful. I mean, I know you had a special thing with your mom,
hmm
and it's just it's really cool to be in that aspect. I have a 22-year-old and a 16-year-old, so I went through that coaching all this. Ours was basketball. We lived in the summers inside gymnasiums. But yeah, those are times. I got to tell you, this is weird to hear, Chris, but it's the truth. Me personally, I loved it. Like I organized all the tournaments.
hmm
You're probably doing it too, getting it all together, calling teams. But after 13 years of it, I'm so
yeah,
glad I'm over that. Like I see these dads today doing this stuff, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I mean, because what happens when your kids get older, then you start to get your freedom back, right? Then you and your old lady start to fall in love a little bit
yeah,
again.
yeah.
You're like, damn, hey, I haven't seen you for 15
I
years,
know it's true, man.
and then you're kind of like, all right, I'm tired of that. But right now, you are in the threshold. I mean, right in the mess of it, and I love
Yeah,
that,
it's
dude. It's
it's
great
it's I'm
time.
in
Great
two
time.
games this coming Saturday, a game on Sunday. It's like your whole weekend is gone, but it's like, you're with your kids, your family, like it's worth it, you know what I mean? But
It's great, dude.
yeah.
It's great. You go hang out at the hotels, and then we would bring our own little grills,
Yeah.
and all of us parents would sit out in the parking lots and drink Bud
Yeah.
Light and or Michelob, whatever you wanted. But yeah, so that's great. That's really really great. So man, see, this is already a great podcast just because people don't know this stuff about you, and that's why this is Agents Influence Conversations with Jason Cass. But here's the thing, man. You're used to it. Like if you're in your town, you're like, hey, I'm at the Dunkin' Donuts. They're like, hey, that brother right there, he's that assistant coach. Um, it's crazy because that's new to you on a local level, but that's not new to you in our space as the independent agency system, the greatest industry God ever created. People know that that's Chris Langille. And it's not so much like, hey, I mean, you're very open to who you are. You go to a lot of events. You do know that you have some of the best websites out there, and it's not a cockiness by no means. It's just when you speak, you can tell that you speak with authority on this subject. How's AE doing, man? When did it start? 2014, 15?
Yep. Yeah, about 2015 is when I started kind of planting the
15.
seeds.
Yeah.
And man, like, being 100% honest, like I never planned on, doing what I do now. I mean, it kind of happened by accident. And, I love doing it. And, obviously saw that there was a hole in the industry and agents legitimately needed help with this. And so it's like, I just tried to help people, man. I was helping people for free and doing a lot of work on the side for nothing. And you know what I mean? It just spiraled into what it is now, which has been a huge blessing, man, for me. I mean, I paid my dues in life with working 2 jobs and working overnighters and working just to pay for my car and car insurance. And like, I mean, like I said, single parent household, I had to like, do it myself, which, at the end of the day made me a better person. And, but yeah, man, like we're doing great, dude. We've been growing steady since we started doing this, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And, slow and steady wins the race. I mean, I'm just like a lot of other businesses and agency owners where like I work in my business so much that sometimes I'm not able to work on it. And so I've been a little bit more quiet maybe than I typically am, in terms of just marketing and being out there in the space. Like I'm honestly kind of a closet introvert. A lot of people might not know that when they hear me talk, but because sometimes I can't shut up, Cass. But
you are.
But no, man. Like,
closet
yeah,
introvert.
we're doing good. Like, obviously, like you asked me the last time we talked, what's new, but basically we're coming out with new services and obviously like trying to evolve ourselves. Like when we first started doing this, building websites, if your website was like mobile responsive, that was like a big deal. You know what I mean? And now things have really progressed from that point very quickly, as has a lot of other technologies. And I like to kind of like equate it to like cars, right? Like every 5 to 10 years, there's like this new technology that appears in cars. Like Tesla came out, they had the flat screen in the car. Everybody was like, oh my God, there's this awesome screen. It's like a control panel for the car. And now a lot of cars have that. And so like, there's like this, evolution, and then everybody copies it and they catch up to it. And maybe sometimes they surpass it. And then the creator then surpasses those people. And it's like this constant cycle of creating new technology, being behind, catching back up, being behind, catching back up. And that's just the reality of a lot of industries, man. Not just, what we do in like in the InsurTech environment, but so like we're definitely, we're in that process of getting our clients off of like our legacy designs onto our new platform that we've been creating the last couple of years. So definitely has been a little bit of a process. There's no easy button when you talk about trying to rebuild hundreds of sites in bulk. It's a big deal, but man, we're working through it very diligently. We have a good team. Those of you who are listening to this, like, you hit us up for help, like we're on it, man. And we make it easy. Like one of those things, man, where there's like 80 things involved in what you do. You're never going to tell that to the client. You're just going to say, yep, I got you, man. And you take care of it because you don't want that. You don't want to be on their conscience. So we try to do the best job we
Chris,
can.
let me take your analogy. I love your analogy of leading. And then here's the thing. In this industry that we have, I think that that you play a role in that differently than other people play a role. So there can be those who were all together, and then there's the leader who goes ahead and everybody catches up, right? And then the leader who goes ahead and everybody catches up. But then there is opposite someone else. The leader goes ahead and this person could be the one catching up, right? And then the leader goes ahead and then we're catching up. Two different aspects and ways of listening to it, because the way that you led, probably subconsciously, was the fact that there was a leader, which you see as you, and then everybody else kind of catching up. And I kind of see you as being the front runner. And now a lot of people, if you go look at some of your competitors, they kind of have some of the same stuff now that you have. And matter of fact, shit you had since 2017, 2016. And so what you're saying now is it's time for me to break ahead on some different stuff. And that's what you're
100%.
doing right now.
Like going back to the Tesla thing, right? Like, that screen was like revolutionary, you know what I mean? And people, if you had that idea, why didn't you also do it? You know what I mean? Like Tesla came out with that, and then it took people 3-4 years. Now I have a Dodge Ram 1500. I got a big screen in my truck now, Now even trucks have it, and lower level vehicles have it. So it's like there's always that sort of guy that kind of has the arrows in his back. And by no means, I did not invent websites or digital marketing, right? Like I'm not making myself out to be that guy.
No,
But definitely,
but you're just ahead of the game.
yeah. I mean, we
You're
have
working hard.
some folks that have borrowed ideas from us. I'm saying that politely.
Yeah.
And we get that, dude. I mean,
And that's kudos to
right.
you, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
They're borrowing your
yeah.
shit.
I mean, what's the saying again? Something. What's the saying? Like when you copy somebody, but it's like flattering or whatever. It's on the tip of my tongue.
It's a form of flattery, is what it
exactly.
is. It should be.
Yeah, so it's all good, man.
No, that's the way that I see it too.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. And in an unselfish way, it was certain people, if that's what they have to do to ride coattails in order to feed their family, then hey, that's the way that it is. The wake that the leader puts is very, very wide.
Yeah.
So dude, and then you've got one of the things though about your websites, everybody knows that and stuff like that, but the local marketing. So the reason I bring this up, loyal listeners, is I was just talking to an agent down in Texas, and he was telling me about how he's been using you for about 6 to 8 months now, enough to actually have some traction. And he's in a niche market is what he's going after. Yep. He said that he used you for commercial lines. He's also now going to kind of start you more in the personal lines market as well because he was so impressed. What are you doing that's so impressed to this guy?
Yeah, man. So it's really a combination of things. It's taking what the agent is trying to target and building a game plan around that. And the reality is, like, certain industries, certain niches, Google ads is not a fit. Facebook ads is not a fit. Retargeting is not a fit. YouTube is not a fit. Sometimes there's not enough search volume to run search ads, and there's not enough search volume for SEO to really come into play. So it's like having those conversations with agents like, dude, you might not want to go into this because you can't market for this niche unless you start picking up the phone, which people don't want to do now. But it's creating a custom game plan per agency. Like, it's not a one size fits all, but like the thing that we try to tell agencies is, advertising, what it costs to advertise and let people know who you are and what you do. Like, so many agents view that as sort of like an expense, and really it's the cost of running a business, right? Like, you got to earmark that money each year. Hey, how much money are you putting back into marketing and advertising? Because, with websites, naturally people are like, Chris, how many leads am I going to get? And, dude, I don't know. Like, because lead volume on a website is directly tied to search volume in Google, and we can't control that. We can't make people search for insurance in your local market. Right. Like, so you got to do other things outside of that. You can't just wait for people to find you in Google. And that's a big part of what our program is. It's multi-pronged approach, right? We're using Google ads, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're retargeting website visitors. We're going into certain niches. But yeah, like with commercial lines, personal lines, Medicare, like we can really do it with any line of business. And without digging into this individual specific ad accounts, like I can't tell you like off the top of my head, like the logistics of it, but we do a lot, man. We have a lot of people, a decent amount of people in the program. And with anything else, man, like we're really trying to teach an industry a new language. And it's very difficult at times because it's like trying to sell insurance to somebody who knows nothing about insurance. When you get a new client who's never had an umbrella policy in their life, but you look at their life and their household and you're like, dude, you need an umbrella. Like, you make X amount of dollars, you have 3 vehicles, you have a high school driver, you should have at least $1 million umbrella or 2 million or whatever. And it's like, well, they're like, well, I never had this before. Why do I need it now? And it's another $400 a month or $300 a year. So it's like you're trying to educate people on the why before like they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And we tell our clients all the time, man, like 99.9% of independent agents do zero advertising. So if you just do a little bit more than them, you're going to be ahead of the game in major ways. It's going to be a major competitive advantage. But yes, it does cost money. It takes time for it to work. And, that's one thing that a lot of business owners, they don't have the patience, and a lot of them don't have the money. They don't have $1,000 a month. That's sort of like disposable income, where if they lose it one month or they have a bad month or whatever, most agencies are not willing to do that. So we do our best, man, to get results with a small budget and a small advertising radius. But really, dude, when you look at it, agencies struggle with this hardcore. It's like you can go out and buy a course and you could try to figure out how to do it yourself. It's going to take you months to get through a course. By the time you get through it, everything's different.
People are still trying to do that and still trying to build it themselves
there's
and
nothing
shit.
against it, dude. Like when I grew up in the industry, like I was that guy. I was teaching myself and doing things and paying with my time versus my money. So I 100% get it. But like,
Yeah, but there wasn't many people doing it
no,
then,
there wasn't
Chris.
many people
I mean,
doing
there's a lot of people doing it now.
no doubt. And now it's like, it's one of those things where like you have you're a big successful agency and you have the money to do it. It's like, why would you not do it and just step on the throats of all of your local competition? I mean, but it is what it is, man. Every agency is different. Money definitely doesn't grow on trees. But man, we think we have an awesome program. I mean, when you look at, and a lot of people don't know this because they don't go out and shop the marketplace for digital marketing vendors or website development vendors, right? Go get quotes. Like I would tell anybody listening, go get quotes from marketing agencies. I mean, we've seen people charging 25 grand for a website that we can build for, $2 grand. We've seen people charging $2,500 a month retainers for what we do for $500 a month. Like there's a big gap between, services offered, pricing, and obviously like results. So it's a lot. I think a lot of agencies like kind of don't know how good they actually have it in our industry with the technology vendors that we have and the price points that we have for the software and services that we have in our industry. Like some people think XYZ might be expensive, and it's like, dude, I know attorneys that are spending 10 grand a month on Google AdWords. Like you don't want to spend 300 a month. Like put that in perspective,
Yeah, and I beat up us independent insurance agents, and we don't. Very few agents out there are running it like a business, right? They're not taking an amount. Like, hey, I take this amount per month, and then whatever's left over rolls over for the next month, and we do things like businesses do. Most of the time, it's, hey, whatever's left over, take it out, and that's my paycheck.
Right.
And so that's the way they see it, right? Is if I give up 500 to Chris, well, that's 500 less I get, personally me.
Right.
And I think sometimes when you take your income, treat your business as it is, $500 a month is like you're looking and you're going, yeah, we have the money in there. That has nothing to do with what I get paid, right? So that's where that comes in to be. And I think other industries run their business better like a business. And so they don't, spending $10,000 a month is not taking away from the owner's income because it's business money. So anyways, I do agree.
Yeah, it's no different than investing in the stock market, right? You're going to put money in today. You might not get it, you might not double your money in 6 months or a year. Like but that's what investing is. It's a long game. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of business owners, and not just insurance agents, right? Like we work with other industries as well, not as much as insurance, but I think a lot of business owners, they're not thinking about the next wave of people in their business, right? Like they're not thinking about perpetuation. They're just thinking about what am I going to get out of this for the next 10, 15, 20 years? Not thinking about, well, like what happens when it is time for me to sell? Like who's going to take it over? Is it going to be a family member? Am I going to sell it? And I can tell you right now, like a business that has a legitimate marketing plan, who's invested in brand awareness and marketing, like that's an asset, right? That's your agency is worth more money when that's the case. So it's just, people have to look at it as that. They have to look at it as an investment and not putting money into a slot machine and hoping that they win that month,
Yeah. Chris, turning the conversation over to the big GMB. You know what that is, and everybody else does, I guess. But Google My Business is the thing. So what I didn't know that he was on the mastermind, and he kept talking about this, and I'm like, maybe I don't know. And then someone typed it. I was like, dude, Cash, you're an idiot. What the hell else do you think that he was thinking? He was saying. So Langille, real quick on this. People don't understand how powerful this tool is.
Yeah, so anybody listening, the Google My Business or the GMB, it's the free listing that you get, right? When you open up a business, you create a profile on Google. It's very much like Yelp or any other type of like online listing, but obviously it's Google, so it's the most important one, and it's one thing that Google has really been putting an onus on the last 5 years, and it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. The bottom line is this: Google doesn't want to send traffic to websites. They want to keep the traffic on their platform. A perfect example is back in the day when you wanted to see what the temperature was going to be tomorrow, you would type in weather in such town or whatever. It would take you to weather.com. That ain't happening anymore. Google is giving you the weather in the search engine. There's no need now to go to weather.com. You know how much traffic weather.com is losing from that? Probably. And Google wants to keep you on their platform, because the longer you're on their platform, the more likely you are to click an ad. And that's how Google makes money. And so Google is really trying to turn the GMB. Everybody knows they failed with Google Plus, right? They tried to come out and compete with Facebook. It was a big flop. They came into the market late, and it flopped. Now what they're doing is, all right, how can we try to do that again, but in a better way where it serves our type of demographic, local, which is really businesses, right? People search Google for products, services, etc. The GMB is becoming that. There's a point in time where you needed call tracking software. Now it's, they put call tracking in the Google My Business. There was a point in time where you needed some text messaging app. You're going to be able to message businesses directly from the GMB. You can now also put a lead form in a Google ad. So you can run a Google ad that literally says in the actual ad, there's a click here to fill out a form. So that person doesn't even need to click your ad to go to your website or landing page. They can fill out a basic form right in the search engine results, right in the ad. So there's been a lot of changes with Google, and some for the better and some for the worse. Like since COVID, and obviously COVID has impacted a lot of different businesses, but like Google support and just weird stuff happening with Google, algorithm changes, unexpected, just weird things. GMB is getting shut down for no reason. It takes 3 months to get it in touch with somebody over there, like just weird stuff like that. But it's important. Like if you've never spent any time or energy on that, definitely log in. It's business.google.com. That's what
I want to do.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. Now Google, they're using the location of the searcher. So they're, you're searching from Detroit, Michigan, and you search for like insurance agent or, car insurance. Google's going to show you local agencies in the map pack, which is the top 3 results in a search query. It has like a little map. You can click on it. So now the website URLs, so back in the day, it was like, we need to rank our website number 1. Well, now that's still the case, but now it's like, we need to rank our GMB number 1 in the map pack. And there's ways to do that for free. And there's ways that you can buy your way into it, which is another thing that we do. But that map pack gets 60, 70% of the click through in a given search query. So the GMB is a big part of local SEO. I mean, there's people out there that will tell you like, that's all that matters right now. I don't necessarily believe that to be true, but it's a big part now of being found in search results, driving traffic back to your website. And it's going to keep evolving, man. Like we have a rep at Google because we have X amount of clients in our AdWords account. And, they're slightly difficult to get a hold with, but they do have quarterly calls and stuff like that with other advertisers. And they showed us their roadmap and like crazy stuff. Like they're rolling out. You can already message people from mobile from the map pack, but they're going to do it on desktop now. So you'll basically be able to click message, and it's going to be no different than going to someone's Facebook page and being able to message them from their Facebook page. So it's going to sort of mimic like Facebook messaging, but it's going to be in a search query. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be powerful. Wow. Needless to say.
That is cool. And I mean, and I tell you what, with some of the problems that some of these, if they could figure out a social platform for it, you know what I mean? Not trying to go down the Google Plus way, because people like Facebook, I'll tell you what, they are hurting right now. They're getting attacked from all across the world on their privacy. I'll tell you what, Zuckerberg's weathered a lot of storms, but he's got to be kind of nervous right now because there's people getting pissed off. Yeah, I saw, not to get sidetracked, but I was reading this in the New York Times this morning about a guy or a lady in in Indiana, and she created a fake profile and only liked pages that was recommended to her. And within like a month, or within a week almost, she had just been getting bombarded with QAnon ads and certain liberal ads that were just nothing but negative stuff going at each other. And she's like, all I did was click their recommendation. I didn't like anybody. I didn't friend anybody. I just clicked their recommended things. And this is what my profile turned out to be. And I thought it was really crazy. She's a professor who did it. And I thought it was really, really wild. And now there's a guy in India that's got some proof that he's doing the same thing. I just don't think, I read that 86% of their enforcement, the people that they help that are in the machines and stuff that they use to try and scan to get this hatred stuff off of their newsfeed, they said 86% of the resources and the people are in the United States. The other 14 to 16% is the rest of the world, and it's getting hammered just as bad. So think about when all those governments start hammering down on them, like the American government's trying to. Man, dude, they're in a hurting world, I think.
No doubt.
And you got something like Google My Business, which is real, right? It's real, it's local. We got to get some social activity out of there, you know. So
I think the player to watch out for, man, is Apple. I mean,
you think so?
Dude, because what they're doing with their privacy, like with the iOS, what is the iOS 15 update, where now the app on your phone says, is it cool if this app tracks you? Like that was a fatal blow to Facebook and other other advertising platforms, but in particular Facebook. It's almost like Apple's like has a thing against Facebook. Like they're trying to shut down some of their capabilities, like not directly, but maybe indirectly with the privacy thing, because Facebook is an advertising platform. I mean, that's what it is, and they need that data and then for retargeting purposes. But dude,
do you use the Apple credit card or whatever?
No.
Just heard this yesterday. Producer in my office has it. And it's cool looking. It's a white card. But if you use the card, you get 1% back. You get 3% back if you use your Apple Touch thing. And they give you the 3% back immediately. So you don't have to wait, boom, you just get it right back into your account, the amount of money. And this kid is 22 and he's a college kid. He's trying to get all the money that he can possibly get. But yeah, so just little things like that they're trying, that Apple's trying. So even outside that web space, they're
innovators, man.
They are taking over, and they got a shitload of cash to take over.
They got a lot of cash, and they're innovative. They're innovative thinkers, and they're a power player. I mean, they're a power player. I don't know the financials, but I mean, they're in the same room with Google and Facebook from a financial perspective, and just their clout in the world. I mean, they're global, so
loyal listeners, you'll know if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. They were the first $1 trillion valued company, and I think they fell back down, and then I think Amazon recently kind of bumped that. But I think they're a fucking huge player.
Huge.
Excuse my language, but they're a freaking huge player. Anyways. So dude, wrapping this up, man, appreciate you coming on. I really, truly do. This has been good stuff. I guarantee you, we talked about stuff you haven't talked about on other podcasts, but that GMB, I think, is important for all you loyal listeners. That GMB is something that most of you have probably never paid attention to. It's free. You probably already have something claimed or a verified listing. Go in there. Where do they go to go in there and edit it? Where can they go, Chris?
business.google.com. And I'd also strongly recommend that you download the mobile app. So you go to the App Store and search for Google My Business. Because if someone does, so here's the other thing, last tip of the day. If someone messages your Google My Business and you don't reply to them, and that happens multiple times, Google can actually deactivate your messaging on your profile. And it's to get it back, turn back on. So the mobile app allows you to reply back to messages, but also reply back to Google reviews, which is also an algorithmic benefit. Like, all things being equal, the Google My Business or the business owner that's more active with their GMB, that GMB is going to rank in the map pack higher, faster, and for a longer period of time. So yeah, business
would only make sense.
Check it out.
That's right. Get out there. That's one of those things. And then, Chris, if they want to get with you, they can go to your website and they can check out all the badass shit you've got, and they'll get right in on this new stuff you got going on, right?
Yep. Yeah. AdvisorEvolve.com. Hit us up, man. You can do a demo, right? Or you can opt in for a demo, jump on a live call, Zoom call with our team. We'll run through, features, benefits, costs, all that good stuff. And man, check us out.
Yep. So Chris and Advisor Evolved is a partner of Agency Intelligence, and they have been for many, many years. And what that means is I can keep things like this podcasts rolling out to you. Sometimes a lot of people don't realize that. All the information that we put out, we have 6 full-time people behind the scene that are actually working, and it's people like Chris that say, hey, this is important to me on this platform. I want to keep it going. I want to be a part of it. So, Chris, I want to tell you, thank you very much for always being a supporter of ours.
No doubt, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a while, man. It's been, what, 5-6 years?
It has been a while.
Yeah. I think I was one of the original OGs.
That's originals. Yep, that's right. Originals. You are right about that. So anyways, loyal listeners, I do what I do because I do it for you. Tell me your thoughts and tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. This is Cass. He's Langille. Lee, something out.
Peace.